Welcome to AI Horizon. So we are back after about a month hiatus, although we had 3 AI Horizons beginning of April as a part of a collaboration with the AI Hub. So if you missed those, we have 2 of those recordings in our agendas document, which is located in the Microsoft Teams space. We now have that pinned to the files space. So also in there is the agenda for today and the agenda for April 30th. We have another AI Horizons at the end of this month. But today we are joined by Dr. Joseph Young. He's the Artificial Intelligence Architect and Innovation Architect for the University of Pittsburgh. So he will be presenting first, and then after Dr. Joe, we have Dr. Tiffany Petricini, so Assistant Teaching Professor from Shenango, who will be sharing some of her research on the faculty and student perceptions of AI here at Penn State. So one more quick housekeeping item. Also in the team space, the community has started collaborating on efforts of collecting resources from other institutions. So a lot of you have already posted or just collecting links from what other schools are doing. So if you want to add to that conversation, that is going to be in the AI Horizons team space. There's already a lot of great information in there. But without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Young. He's going to talk about some of his efforts that he's working on at the University of Pittsburgh.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So I just wanted to give a quick intro of it works. Just to give you a little bit of context. I know I only have 15 minutes. So first, I am new to Pitt, by the way, new to Pittsburgh, new to Pennsylvania. I moved here about 2 years ago. Funny story, when I moved to Pittsburgh, I was in a shop to buy University of Pittsburgh gear just because I was thinking I should do that. And in that same shop was a big Penn State section. So it was like, and I was in the Pitt section, and then there was a Penn State person with all the Penn State gear, and he looked at me buying Pitt, and he's boo. And it was that moment I realized, oh, there's some kind of rivalry here that I don't know about. So I am very neutral. I don't know what's going on. But, I grew up in Illinois and Chicago, so I'm a professor at Pitt in electrical computer engineering. I actually research building out large-scale AI systems for various federal funded grants and whatnot. I have this kind of innovative position. It was one of the things I requested when I was, I guess, recruited to Pitt. I told the CIO that I'd like to have this type of position because I think that we need some kind of central architecture, kind of like an enterprise architect, but for AI. So I also have that role at Pitt. And then I just wanted to briefly mention the fact that I also have an AI company. And the reason why is because obviously every business wants to do AI right now, and there's very few people that can help with that. So because of my background in building out large-scale systems within academia and for the federal government, I help businesses do this as well. But that also gives me a lot of insight into what's actually happening on the ground right now. So I have a pretty good idea of how companies, especially large companies, are building out AI, and that informs a lot of my research, and then it also informs how we build out at Pitt. So what are some things that Pitt is known for? Again, I'm pretty new, so I'm assuming these are the things, some of these things. I think we've got pretty world-class health sciences because that's what they tell me. I think we have some strong humanities departments. For example, philosophy, I believe, is very strong. I think, or I know actually, that we are situated in a sports-loving city. I cannot believe the passion that people have for the Steelers. I mean, it's actually kind of scary too. So it's like a family event for everybody. And then I mentioned innovative partnerships, question mark. This is my injection. I don't know if Pitt's known for this, but I hope we can be known for this because I'm all about partnerships. So first, I wanted to give an update on some things that we're doing with regards to AI, with regards to their world-class health sciences aspect of Pitt. So recently I was able to kind of negotiate a deal with Dell. Dell is this company that everybody thinks they just do computers. They're actually this massive company that does kind of like everything. They're kind of what GE used to be almost, I feel. And so they obviously have huge supercomputing arm. They're probably the largest buyer of NVIDIA chips on the planet. And so they are an AI powerhouse at this point because of the hardware. And so what we were able to discuss with them was the building of Pittsburgh, this vision of making Pittsburgh the epicenter for computationally enabled health sciences and precision medicine, especially with regards to UPMC. Dell is very interested in things like using AI for pathology, for cancer research, these kind of things. So they just recently provided a $1.7 million donation of equipment at cost. So it's actually probably around $4 million of actual equipment in retail price as the beginning of a build out that we're basically building out this innovation hub in Pittsburgh. This is in partnership with Carnegie Mellon, Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center, and the University of Pittsburgh. I've been helpful in coordinating this, both from a technical standpoint, as well as, again, I really love partnerships. So I'll actually be at Dell headquarters next week, just trying to meet more people, trying to kind of build this vision, because I do believe this is one of the strengths of Pittsburgh.
Is it going to be located in Oakland?
Yes. So PSC is currently located in Oakland in a building that I forgot the name of. Yes, but yes, it'll be located in Oakland. That's correct. Actually, another thing that we've been discussing is that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, because there's areas in Pennsylvania, and again, I'm brand new, there's certain areas in Pennsylvania that have huge power grids that are not being utilized whatsoever, something like some kind of thing where there's power grids in Pennsylvania where there's like 2 to 5% usage and it can handle so much more. AI is obviously very energy intensive. So there's a thought of if we can take some of this equipment and put it in, if this grows out, put it in those areas and then kind of help those cities benefit from this kind of additional architecture in their cities in Pennsylvania. So maybe somewhere near here. I don't know where the underutilized power grids are. And then secondly, we just announced, I think this was like 3 months ago, it's called CPACE, the Computational Pathology and AI Center of Excellence. I don't believe this is the first one. I think Mayo might have made the first one, or maybe Johns Hopkins. This is definitely the biggest one. And basically the head of pathology at UPMC, he went out and he recruited, I guess, all the top pathology people in the world. Apparently, there's one person that they call the Tom Cruise of pathology. I don't even know what that means, but they got him. So now they've got like 4 or 5 of the best pathologists in the world in this one location. They asked for my help and other people's help to basically make their vision of being the world's leader in AI pathology true. So we've been helping them architect that. So there's a lot of hardware involved, a lot of cloud services involved. And kind of one of their goals is they would like to create what they call the pocket pathologist. They'd like to create basically the capability for any physician, especially around the world, even if you don't have facilities and these kind of things, that you can have a device where that device can look at a scan or whatever, and then you can get results right away. I think right now pathology is having a big problem with regards to the amount of things that have to be analyzed, and there's not enough people to do it right now. So they are engaged in AI in this matter. And I want to quickly also clarify, I'm not 100% a cheerleader of AI. I think there's some seriously concerning stuff about AI and what's happening with it. So this stuff is, I think, largely positive. So these are good things that AI can help us with. I don't know how much I'll talk about it today with regards to, there's definitely downsides with this stuff, but I think we have to be honest about that. So strong humanities departments, for example, philosophy. Another thing that we're doing is a bunch of faculty members created this, what I think is a terrible acronym, but I was not part of the creation of this. PASTA. I think there's a very strong pasta-loving community in Pittsburgh. And so this stands for Pitt AI Scholars and Teachers Alliance. And so basically what this is we had discussed as faculty members, people wanted to start an institute around AI, all these things. And I had suggested, hey, I feel like once we start formalizing things, this is where things die, where faculty start fighting, where we start having departmental battles. I said, can we just keep this thing super informal? Just make it a meeting that we get together. Maybe somebody buys food and we just meet once a month to discuss AI. So this has been happening, and what's nice about it is that there's kind of these informal partnerships coming up through this informal PASTA. We call it a multinodal networking group. And so one of the things that came up was we have a couple people in the humanities that decided to go for an NEH, National Endowment for Humanities AI Center grant. So this hasn't been decided yet, or it hasn't been awarded yet, but I believe the NEH is looking to award 6 institutions nationally to create a humanities-focused AI center. It's only $1 million grant, which is a huge amount of money for humanities. I've been part of NSF grants that are like $500 million, so it's a different kind of scale. But for humanities, $1 million is a ton. And so we're really hoping this happens on Pitt's campus. And one of the biggest focuses of this, there's two tracks. One is AI education, especially for K through 12. And then the other track is training up the next generation of humanities professionals that are AI trained, right? So they're really looking to build that out. And then the other thing that I've been really pitching within Pitt, and I think this is, we have a new chancellor. I think she's really seeing the vision of this. You know, we sit in Oakland and we have Carnegie Mellon, we have the Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center, which is a very small supercomputing center compared to others. But the reality is CMU, I mean, they're known for computer science, AI, robotics. It'd be kind of unwise, in my opinion, for Pitt to try to compete with them in their space. So what I've suggested, and what we've kind of all suggested, was let's partner together. Let's let CMU push the envelope with regards to the technology, the robotics. What can Pitt do? Pitt can really speak into the application of these technologies into fields such as health sciences. That's the easiest one. But also with regards to our humanities department, shouldn't we be also leading and thinking about ethics and thinking about philosophy and these kind of things? What does it mean? I mean, even from a philosophical standpoint, what is meaning of life if machines start to take over a lot of what we do with our work and these kind of things? Like, are we okay with this? You know, how are we thinking about this rather than just speeding forward? So what we're trying to build out more and more at Pitt is apply artificial intelligence in society and then drawing from the technologies that are coming out of CMU. By the way, I'm just rushing through this. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw out a question. I want to make sure I stay on time. So another thing that Pitt is potentially known for is it's situated in a sports-loving city. So because of that, and I've experienced, I think Penn State's very similar, very sports-loving, right? But again, Pittsburgh is pretty crazy, in my opinion, in a good way. So what I realized was Pitt athletics, I don't know, is it a really good athletics program? Seems okay, maybe not great, but I think there was a real opportunity. Is this recorded? Am I gonna get fired? I mean, it's not like, I don't know, I've never heard of Pitt, right, before coming to Pitt with regards to sports, so I don't know. But what I realized quickly was that Pitt has a unbelievable data team in their athletics department. That was one of the first things I realized was when I met with the data team, folks in athletics, I was shocked. And I actually told the head person, I said, you're probably one of the best data scientists that I've ever met in higher ed that works for like administration, right? And so because I have some connections at AWS, I asked the AWS folks, well, you know, you do this whole NFL, MLB powered by AWS thing, right? Are you interested in doing that in the NCAA? And they said, yes. I said, do you do that? No. I said, how about Pitt? They said, okay. So we are now working on powering Pitt athletics by AWS AI technologies. I believe we're building out a new field house practice facility, and it's going to be hopefully state of the art, having cameras everywhere and whatnot. We're talking with the student athletes to figure out, can we create really personalized nutrition plans for each person? So nothing that's kind of creepy and stuff like that. It's all just opt-in, helping the student athletes kind of upgrade their performance as much as they want to engage with this kind of technology. And so that's one thing that we are starting right now at Pitt. Oh, and also obviously the things like promotional things, ticket sales, these kind of things we're going to analyze via AI. Of course, you got to do the marketing stuff. And then when we started work on this, or as we've been doing work on this, we've been doing this for about a year now. I got to Pitt about 2 years ago. The professional teams started to gain interest in this because Pitt plays in the same stadium as the Steelers. So they saw all the kind of hardware we're working with, and so they started asking us, what are you doing with AWS? They started getting interested, so we are having discussions with less the Pirates. I think they're an interesting organization, but a little bit of interest. But the Penguins especially, they're very interested. Okay, wonderful. And the Steelers. So you might see Penguins powered by AWS pretty soon, and that's kind of running out of our Pitt shop. And then the last thing, innovative partnerships. So I just bring this up because I'm really interested in not trying to reinvent the wheel and see where we can just partner to accelerate things. You've probably never heard of CAI. They're an Allentown-based consulting firm. So the thing with CAI is, well, let's talk ChatGPT Enterprise. ChatGPT Enterprise is way too expensive for higher ed. Even with their 50% discount, I'll be surprised if any higher ed institution actually buys ChatGPT Enterprise. Even with a discount, it's $360 per person per year. So multiply that with how many people are in Penn State, right? I mean, that's bigger than every budget. There's no desire from OpenAI to discount that. Arizona State, their big announcement, they're partnering with OpenAI and all these things. And we know Arizona State's CIO very well. There's a bit of a marketing play. They just bought 1,000 licenses. 1,000 licenses is not enterprise-wide, right? So that's not an option. Secondly, I think the school that's kind of done this well has been University of Michigan. They kind of home grew their own, I don't know if it's called Michigan GPT, but some kind of UM GPT maybe, which is great because it's privacy protecting, it's secure. The problem is they are going to have to continue to build out staff to support that thing. This thing's not going to get smaller, it's going to get bigger and bigger. So they're going to have this OpEx cost and a CapEx cost that's just going to continue to grow. So CAI, they built this internal tool called CAI Symphony, which is basically private GPT, right? It's like at ChatGPT Enterprise, but created by CAI with their own UI that looks like ChatGPT, and then it connects to GPT-4 backend. When I saw that in another individual at Pitt, we said, hey, why don't you turn this into a product, right? And then why don't you sell it to higher ed at a reasonable cost? We'll be your guinea pigs. We'll help you architect this. I'll help you architect it. And let's call it Pitt GPT powered by CAI Symphony. But if this thing works and it's a reasonable cost structure, then we as Pitt will help you promote it to other higher ed institutions, right? As an option for, okay, and I've already talked with, I went to undergrad at University of Illinois. So I've already talked to people there saying, hey, we're working on this thing. If it works out, we'll tell you everything because basically ChatGPT Enterprise is not going to be cost effective for higher ed. So we're looking at these kind of innovative partnerships. I still give University of Michigan big props. I just think it's going to be hard to maintain that over time. And I don't think schools are looking to, grow their IT groups tenfold or these kind of things over the next few years. So we got to think of different ways to do these things because budgets are always getting tighter. So that's it. I think I stayed within my time. Any questions? Yes.
I'm curious about your humanities,
Yes.
the humanities initiative that you have going on. What does that look like when you're talking about it, like as in collaboration with the technical people too? Like, is there going to be a bridge there? Are they two separate things? Like, how are they kind of talking to each other essentially?
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. Carnegie Mellon is like on the same campus as Pitt, right? So I didn't even know that.
Right next
So
door.
it's like, yeah, right next door.
Yep.
So we already started doing these meetings. We just meet in like one building. We bring some CMU folks and we bring some Pitt Humanities folks and we just start talking about these things. And I'm sure you see this at Penn State too. I mean, you get faculty from different disciplines in a room, and it's like, you can't believe just the fact that if they're in a room together, they're like, wait, you do that? Oh, like you can speak to that? It's like, yes, like we have multiple colleges and departments in a university. Like, yes, we all have different expertise. And so, you know, the CMU folks, and it's no disrespect to them, but I mean, just so brilliant in the computer science, but then they'll say crazy things like, well, we don't really know what ethics are, or something like that, you know, and you're just like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, no, like there's a whole science to this, right? I mean, or we don't know how these psychologically affect. It's like, yes, we do, right? There's behavioral economics, social psychology. So we've been kind of having a lot of those aha moments as we just get people together. But again, I mean, the CMU folks, the stuff that they're showing us is just like mind blowing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so it's a lot of that. I feel like I used to do some work at like MIT Media Lab, and it was hard to get like the Harvard folks with the MIT folks to like have these kind of joint discussions. There was a lot of stuff, you know? But what's nice is I think CMU and Pitt, it's like the egos are like a little bit lower, so it's kind of nice.
That's awesome.
We have an online question.
Yes.
And I had a question very similar to this. So the online question is from Adrian Timms. And he asked, how would Pitt GPT compare with Enterprise MS Copilot? And my question was in comparison to ChatGPT, with the high cost of ChatGPT being $360 per user. And Penn State is a Microsoft school, so that's, I think, where this question is coming from. Penn State has given access to all students, faculty and staff, MS Copilot. So speaking, could you compare the differences if you're aware of any differences between Copilot, ChatGPT, and Pitt GPT?
Yeah, so first of all, the fact that you've given Copilot access to all the students, that's pretty impressive, because I believe that's also $360 a month per, or $360 a year per
We
user.
have the Microsoft A5 license, and
Oh,
so
okay.
the basic Copilot is free for everyone.
Oh, okay, the basic one.
Yeah, the
Okay.
365 Copilot is the $30.
Okay, that makes sense. So Copilot, I mean, obviously has a GPT-4 backend, it's excellent service. The only negative thing for me, I don't know if it's negative, but it's built within the apps, right? So within Word, within Excel. Now, they call everything Copilot, so there's also a Copilot that's on Bing online, so.
That's the one we have
That's what we
access to,
have.
Bing
Okay.
Copilot. We don't
Yeah.
have the Copilot in any of the Microsoft tools.
So they do have kind of a Microsoft flavor to everything that, so for example, if you go to ChatGPT and you write the same questions versus Bing, you'll actually get sometimes very different results, which is interesting because they're supposed to both have GPT-4 backends. So you know that Microsoft is, and this is not a negative statement, I'm just saying they're changing things to their Microsoft flavor, right? Whereas what I liked about the CAI thing, and again, we're like literally building it with them, right? Is that they give you the option to put any large language model on the back end to it, right? So if you're an Azure shop, you can do Azure GPT-4. If you're an AWS shop, you can do Bedrock plus Anthropic Claude, right? You can just swap in as an IT shop, whatever you want your backend LLM to be. So, but I think Copilot, what's really nice about Copilot is it's just kind of integrated into Microsoft's ecosystem. And I use Copilot too, so.
That's something I struggle with too, is I use ChatGPT Pro, but I've also been using Bing Copilot, and I know they're powered by the same engine, in quote marks, but I get very different responses when I put in the same prompt. So I'm trying to figure out what's the difference, and I love your explanation of the Microsoft flavor within Bing Copilot.
Yeah, I will explain it in the next 3 talks that I give, right? Because I do the same kind of foundational teaching over and over. But there's 2 components to this large language model stuff, right? There's the actual large language model, which is the same for both GPT-4. But then there's what's called reinforcement learning from human feedback around it. That RLHF is Microsoftized for Copilot, right?
Yeah.
And so
More
that's
guardrails
what, yes.
almost,
So
okay.
it's changing it, right, to be more Microsoft, so.
I do have one more question if no one else does. So I was curious about the sports partnership
Yes,
between
yes.
AWS and Pitt Athletics. And I was wondering how, you don't have to go into too much detail because I'm sure this is a whole nother conversation, but how did that get started? Was that like in chat with athletics, because just curious if that's something Penn State wanted to pursue. Where do we
So
start?
just broad strokes, the athletics department, I think we got a new AD in, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago or something like that. And so we had a quick conversation with her. I think I was doing a presentation on blockchain. I also do blockchain work. So I was doing a presentation on blockchain. I met the AD, and then they were saying, well, we want to be the most advanced technological athletics department in this new age, right? And kudos to them, but I don't think they really knew like what that meant, right? And then it just happened that I have a relationship with the top level people for SLED in AWS. So I just threw the idea out to the AD saying, hey, would you be interested in trying to do various kind of advanced analytics like they do in the NFL? They're like, yeah, like let's do it, right? And so I talked with the AWS folks. They were very interested. They're also very interested. AWS is very interested in health sciences, like medical. So I think that, to be honest, is what really drove them to think Pitt, right? Because they're thinking medical, Amazon's trying to take over like medicine, right, in many ways. So so I think the athletics was almost kind of a side thing. But now that they've seen how much interest and potential there is for athletics in NCAA, AWS is like doubling down. But I think the goal for AWS is they create us as like the lighthouse institution for how to do analytics using AWS for athletics. And then we kind of become the template for other NCAA teams and stuff like that. Whereas I think Pitt would rather keep it private so that there's like some kind of competitive advantage.
Sure.
But I mean, AWS is probably, they're not gonna like that. They're gonna wanna sell it to everybody, so,
Awesome. Thank you.
yes. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Yu. So now we're gonna switch gears and Dr. Tiffany Petricini, Sarah Zip, and Chu Hao will
He's
be
here.
presenting.
Yeah.
He's online.
He's online.
Yeah, are we coming up there?
Do you wanna jump up here or present from back there? We can do both.
Yeah, I figure we'll just sort of, it's kind of all over the place right now, so.
Okay, awesome.
But I will share, do I have share access? Because I'll
Yes, you
share
should be
mine.
able to share if you're in the Zoom. Let's use this.
We're gonna supercharge them.
Sarah, good to meet you.
Pleasure, Joe.
So it's interesting being on this side of the camera and also this side of the presentations. Because, I watch these and I get to participate in them. And I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you inviting me because I like talking about AI. It's all I pretty much talk about. It's all my team and I talk about. So I also sort of want to introduce the team while we're here. So I am a communications faculty at Penn State Shenango. A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. But my technical area of expertise is media ecology. So what I'm interested in is the intersections of culture, consciousness, and technology. So that's ultimately what I truly study. And so this study started when ChatGPT came out. Many of you have heard this before, and I'm sorry for telling the story again. But when ChatGPT came out, my partner is a systems engineer, and he said, oh my gosh, you've got to see this product. Your students are going to use it to write papers. And I said, not my students. My assignments are AI proof, right? And so the prompt that I fed it, and so this was in December, so of 2022, the prompt that I fed it was, give me 3 things that you've learned in this class. It's a public speaking class, specific prompt. 2 ways you've grown, and 1 thing that you'll teach other people. And it was great. It was an essay I would have given an A to. So I was very irritated and I thought, okay, we need to respond to this. And lots of places were responding. So we had New York City school system had banned ChatGPT right off the bat. Other colleges were coming out with, of course, the academic integrity stuff.
Speaker notes are,
Oh, what did you say?
your speaker notes are also shared.
Oh, sorry. Let me exit. Wait. Let me stop sharing. Okay, let's see. Let me reshare off my screen. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. It's the presenter view that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So, okay, so where was I? Yes. And so I was like, okay, well, what's the research that's going into all of these policies that are being created? And there wasn't any, because there had barely been any studies that looked at faculty and student perceptions of AI generally in higher education. So I went through the process. I had a coworker at the time who was working with me at Penn State Shenango. We got IRB approved, and we were talking with everybody here. We were talking with Zach. We were on when this team space used to be AI in the classroom. We were working in that space, and they were reaching out, or they were talking to me, but they were also talking to two researchers from the TLT who were also interested in a very similar project. And so they connected us, and that was Sarah, Dr. Sarah Zip, and also graduate assistant, soon to be Dr. Chu Hao Wu. He's very close. And so we partnered up, and that's how this sort of came about. And so the plan today is to sort of talk to you about, it's like a state of AI here at Penn State. So we'll talk to you about what we found in our study. It'll be repeats for some of you, but hopefully some of our takes on it will be a little bit different now that we have some publications. Then we will talk about the takeaways for you and what you can actually do with what you learn. And then we want to talk to you a little bit about our year 2 study. So it's been a year. We've just introduced the second survey to sort of follow up on what we found the first year. So we'll talk to you a little bit about the changes in that, and then we'll link you to that so that you can take that survey for us. So our main, I got to move so I can actually see what I'm doing. So sort of our main questions. This is what we were looking at in the very beginning. What are the general perceptions held by students about AI use in the classroom, especially ChatGPT? And what are the general attitudes held by faculty about AI use in the classroom, especially ChatGPT? And I know it seems, wow, that's really ChatGPT centric. But at the time, that's what it was. We didn't have all these other tools yet. And so the questions are ChatGPT centric, and we've changed that. So I'm going to turn this over to Chu Hao now, and Chu Hao is going to break down the significance of the results that we found within the surveys. So Chu Hao, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Tiffany. So is there actually a question? Should we answer that question first? Like, do you actually mean in the classroom, or do you mean in courses?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so the question in the Zoom chat is from Lisa. Do you actually mean in the classroom, or do you mean in courses?
Both. I think we were examining both. We wanted to understand both at the time.
All right. Yeah, so so now let's take a look at the result we get from our survey. So the first set of questions we asked about people's familiarity with AI and ChatGPT. So recall this is done in last spring semester. So at that time, most of the faculty and students answered they agree they're familiar with the concept of AI and the concept of ChatGPT. However, they have very little experience using ChatGPT. They have not addressed the ChatGPT in their class with students and have not integrated the ChatGPT AI into their instructions. So they are definitely more like they need more training, and they're willing to receive more training about this new tool. If we can go to the next page.
Sorry.
Yeah, and in the next page, we can see some differences between students and faculty opinion. So first of all, they are also agree that both of them agree it could be dangerous for students, but there's a difference in that faculty tend to agree more on this item, that maybe faculty think this could be more dangerous for students than students themselves think. And in the second item, we asked whether students will misuse generative AI tools, and you can see that like faculty actually agree, but for students there are a lot more uncertainty, like students are unsure whether students will misuse the tool. And for the rest of the item, you can see that like faculty are not comfortable with using AI. Both faculty and students are not comfortable with using AI to build core syllabus, and not comfortable using AI to grade assignment in their courses. And for the rest of the red ones, they also agree, but there are small differences in that the faculty tend to agree more that students will use AI tools to complete coursework, which is inevitable. And students should be restricted from using AI tools in their coursework, and that use AI tools to complete coursework is considered a violation of academic integrity policies. And the interesting thing about this statement is that students do actually agree more than faculty that use AI tools is a violation of the university policies. If we can go to the next page, thank you. And here are the some of the different things that we ask about students and faculty. So about their attitudes towards the potential applications of AI. So they agree, like for the student side, they agree that the use of AI is actually very prevalent and it's used for good and helpful reasons. At the same time, they also see that AI is misused in education. And they are not sure if instructors use AI well in academic settings, and not sure if something has to be done to stop the use of AI by students. And on the faculty side, like they consider students' use of AI is considered cheating to use it for coursework, and they did not agree that they would be comfortable to use AI to build course assignment. They are not so comfortable with using AI as part of the research or other scholarship activities. And but they also see the potential benefits of using AI for students, and students should be taught how to use AI tools appropriately. So remember that this is done in a very early stage when like ChatGPT just came out. So there are a lot of uncertainty towards whether they should use AI in their classroom or create course assignment. I think that's the essential findings from our survey. And the next part, I'll give it to Sarah to talk about the potential implications, some key things from the data.
Thank you, Chuhao. So the themes that we found, and I think it's really important to stress that this was done, when did this open? March through May of last year. So ChatGPT had really only hit the market for a couple of months, and it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And so it may not be all that surprising to know that there was a familiarity with this tool or the notion or idea of the tool, but there was a great deal of uncertainty around it. Students and faculty both had some knowledge of it, but again, that usage was so low. The actual experience using it was low, and because of that newness, it was likely unconnected to classroom use, right? Students, faculty maybe couldn't see how it might be used out in a productive manner outside of the very hot topic of academic integrity, right? Our study showed that the academic integrity and plagiarism aspects are real, that people have a great deal of concern about them, but we also saw a conflict between how the instructor's interest of use, they were interested in using it, but yet they also said, and that it had value in education, but they also then said that students should be restricted in their use. So there's a little bit of a conflict of, well, I mean, I know that I will use it in this integrity way or in this honest way, but I don't trust that students will, which really highlights the need that we need training and we need education and we need support and help around using these tools adequately. And then also too, I think in these conversations about academic integrity, the focus has been on the students, but there also needs to be a side of the use of integrity on the instructor's side about phoning it in, right? Or I heard somebody call it snail mailing it in, right? And using these tools in a way that is maybe not honest or upholding to the instructor's own academic integrity. And that's just not something that we hear a lot about. So our main takeaways, again, the study really shows that there's a great deal of uncertainty and familiarity, but then students and faculty share some of those similar views. And as familiarity and usage increases, we're likely to see these perceptions change and evolve, right? As Tiffany said, we have year 2 out, and I mean, some of the questions that we even have on our questionnaire are a little bit different, which hopefully you'll see. The ignoring and over-policing of AI is probably not going to work, and that training is a must because the assumption and being resigned to the inevitability of AI is very prevalent. We have 2 different publications. The QR code will take you to our SharePoint site. If you're interested, I'll get that for you because it is behind the Penn State wall. So our qualitative results from our survey, we wrote up into this, this article using monster theory by Jeffrey Cohen. And the 4 kind of generalizations that we can say about how people perceive or how they explained AI was that there's just a general lack of knowledge, that it's an unknown, that they are, that they consider, our respondents said that AI is non-human or instrumental, it's tool-like, it helps us do things, that it is human and moving into an anthropomorphic state. And then the 4th theme that we took away was really about beyond human, that it's AI has the potential to replace humans. So we looked at Cohen's monster theory, which helps us explore the fears, the concerns, the hopes, the hallucinations, and even the desire to use these generative AI tools. It was the most fun thing I have ever written. So I encourage you to read it. I mean, it's fun. And Tyler helped me make a little infographic here. So again, as Tiffany said, we'll be talking a little bit about year 2, if you want to.
So yeah, so we took these results and we ran with them. And it's not just us who ran with them. We've made changes. There has been training. People wanted training and we did it. And so most of you that are here in Zoom or in person know about these opportunities, but I'll go through them quickly. So on the faculty side, Schreier, the TLT, Commonwealth Teaching Support, they all have numerous resources. They've had numerous sessions, workshops, and all sorts of things for faculty to take part in to learn more. Penn State has released syllabi statements for faculty, and they're available on the AI website. And then we have learning communities, this community, obviously, and then there's also the AICOP, which is the Schreier-related community of practice. So on the student end, we have a little bit more work to do, but there is an AI literacy module that's been developed, and that module has to be incorporated by faculty in Canvas space. So students don't have access to it outside of that. And then also within specific disciplines, there's been certain trainings for students, it just depends. And then finally, the institution as a whole, we now have the AI Hub website, which has started trying to build together, of course, all of these random pockets that we have all over the place. So that's been helpful. And then, as Zach, I think, mentioned at the beginning, maybe not, now I don't remember. So Provost Schwartz and University Faculty Senate have partnered, and they created the Joint Standing Committee on Responsible and Effective Use of Artificial Intelligence in Instruction in Higher Education. And I am co-chair of that committee with Crystal Ramsey, who's Senior Director at the TLT. And so we're working on things. We're trying to do it. So some of the changes that we have made as researchers and towards the year 2 study is that obviously we ended the focus on GPT, right? We need to focus on all generative AI tools, and we've tried to be less specific related to that. We also realized that we were excluding a huge section of higher education voices by not including staff. Faculty and student perceptions was problematic. And one of the things we're hoping is that this is one way that Penn State can finally be in the lead. We've sort of been lagging. And if we can sort of take the lead on staff initiatives, because staff are essential. You all, almost all in this classroom are staff, or in this section, this room. You're staff, which means we didn't even include you in our survey. How could we do that? So yeah, so the new survey is open to staff. And then also this time around, we're focused less on general AI literacy and more on ethic literacy. And so we have some questions. I don't want to ruin it because I don't want to prompt any of you, but we're just trying to understand a little bit about how people are perceiving this from an ethical standpoint. And so we have the link and we have the QR code. This has been sent to leadership at your campus or college. So it was up to them on whether or not they forwarded that to you. So many of you have not seen it. So if you haven't, please take this survey. We have about 370 responses, and last year we had about 700. And so this year we have access and so many more opportunities and so much to learn. So if you could take this, we would really appreciate it. So that's it for today. I am so grateful that I got to be on this side of things and sort of update you today. And I guess we can take questions. I didn't think about that. I was gonna turn it over to you, but yeah, we can take questions.
I always have,
Question in the back there.
I have a million questions all the time. Hi, Tiffany. We know that traditionally, higher ed moves glacially slowly, especially when it comes to new technologies, new everything. We saw during COVID that we had the capacity to move a little bit more quickly. And this could be for Crystal too, because I know you're leading this committee together, but what are you seeing like institutionally, as far as our ability at Penn State to move this forward at the pace at which AI is progressing, in a way that we can like prepare our students and do our research in such a way that it's actually hopefully keeping up? Like what are you seeing like institutionally, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
I think it's very interesting because if you look at computer sciences and technology and those disciplines, they move like super fast. That's part of what makes them relevant. They constantly need to update what they're doing. But education is the opposite, right? And we have these theories and it takes a long time to update this. There's even, we've been reading a book and incorporating it called the Monsters of Educational Technology. And in that work, she talks about how when blackboards came, everybody was panicked that it was going to ruin education because the instructors would have their backs to the classes. So there's this theme, whereas like the tech sciences embrace new technology, education does not. And so there's this tension right now, I think, in where we're at. So I think that we can tell today, based on what's going on at Pitt, we're a little bit behind. And I don't think that's just by looking at what's going on at Pitt, but obviously University of Michigan, they have been moving faster. And so for us, I think that's part of what we're trying to do in the committee. We're trying to look at other institutions. We're trying to look at their successes and failures, and we're trying to make judgments about what we can do here at Penn State.
I just want to mention first, I think this is amazing. Secondly, I don't necessarily think Pitt's ahead. I feel like with AI right now, again, I've been doing tech for all my life, right? Programming since I was a kid. This is the fastest moving thing I've ever seen in my life, right? So nobody is ahead right now. We are all, and especially education. I'm speaking this Friday at a superintendent's forum. I think it's like 100 of the 500 Pennsylvania superintendents. And like, I speak with a lot of superintendents in Pennsylvania and everybody's behind. So I just want to throw that out there, that nobody's leading. Secondly, I really do feel like this is one of those things where we need to be sharing our learnings, like there should be no competition, in my opinion. Like we all need to be joining forces and just doing this together, because if we don't, it's just none of us can move fast enough. You mentioned the joint report or whatnot, that's
The Joint Standing Committee.
yes, standing committee. We just had one of those at Pitt. I think they created a report for teaching and learning and research that's now being published in the ACM FACS conference, which is fairness, accountability, or whatnot. That was one of the best reports I've seen come out of higher ed when faculty get together, because usually you put 50 faculty together and it's like a very slow moving process. But again, it's just this sense of everybody realizing like we have to move fast and this is not what we normally do, right? So and I'll just say that one last thing. At Pitt, I feel like everybody feels like we're behind too.
Yeah.
So everybody feels like this. And we just need to join forces. It's just my thought.
I think we're very lucky. So it's related and not related when we talk about the Joint Standing Committee, but some of the actual members of the committee are here in Zoom. I saw them. Hello, Alan, hello, Lisa. And if I'm missing anybody, sorry, hello to you too. But so, we have an 81-page preliminary report that's been put together in about a month and a half. So, it's significant work. There are 20 members of the committee and we are moving quickly. So putting that into perspective, I think that's very helpful. So we are moving quickly. And we also pivoted very quickly, I think, as far as all the resources that we have from Schreier to the TLT, we pivoted quickly to try to get resources available. I mean, look at the symposium this year and the Make It event. I mean, that was, we put together all of these resources and tools quickly to work with what people needed to learn.
Awesome.
I think one of the hardest things is to simply know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if we somehow had like an AI heat map and we could cast it across all of our campuses, I think there's AI stuff happening everywhere. And so that's at the ground level. People are doing what they're going to do. I think we're seeing like at this middle layer, Dave's here from Penn State IT. We're trying to catalyze conversation. We're trying through this committee work and lots of other things. There are lots of efforts going on in colleges, people trying to understand the landscape beyond the individual. But our scale is always at once a benefit and a challenge. And I think this is a place where it's a challenge. And so we're kind of in this middle layer now where what are all the things? And, we're talking about this report. Well, it's a snapshot of a moment in time and it won't be complete. It can't be complete. If we submit it yesterday preliminarily, which we did, it's out of date today. And so, it's just trying to hold tight. We just all have to strap in. And I think the next place is to, at the highest levels, have sort of a more strategic approach. And hopefully, by trying to capture and understand and report on and share all that's happening to the best of our ability, maybe, I think that's something that I would like to see as a more strategic approach at the highest levels. So we'll see.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Instead of pasta, we could call it pierogi because of Western cuisine. That's where I'm from, that's the whole thing.
Pittsburghers, I'm making them mad.
I ate pierogies for the first time. They're delicious.
Good man.
Should be a diet staple.
We have one quick online question from Andrea Gray. What's the name of the book that includes the Blackboards example?
Monsters of Educational Technology. I think it's WATT. I can't remember her
Her
first
name's
name.
Audrey
Audrey,
Waters.
okay. Or
And-
Watt, okay.
Is
it Waters?
We'll send it.
Yes.
But it is a self-published book.
Well, what is MIT Press, I thought?
No,
Okay,
I
okay.
think she's also, wait. Maybe I have it, hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah, okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
perfect.
Oh, looks like Alan
But it's
Bagel
Waters,
Alan's
dropped it in
Audrey
chat.
Waters.
Wow.
Monsters.hack education.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah. Oh, Waters, it's Waters. Yeah, okay, yeah.
This group is pretty awesome, by the way.
It really is. Thanks.
Having this meeting is so important. I don't think we have anything like this at Pitt. This is very helpful.
We've been doing this monthly for almost a year now. So I think
That's
we
awesome.
started in June. We
Yeah.
went through the summer as a bi-weekly
Yeah, it was,
meeting through the
Twice a month
summer.
in the
And
summer.
then, in October, relaunched as a monthly meeting. And it's always amazing to invite faculty, administrators, staff from all over the university to speak to a really energetic group that has lots of ideas and conversation. And then there's a corresponding team space that has nearly 600 members in it, that the conversation continues outside of the meetings in that space. As you said, that's just one of the
Yeah.
groups that meet on campus.
So maybe could we post our survey in Teams, by the way, so?
yes, I was going to ask you if that was okay to post in
Oh, yeah,
Teams.
please. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
but that'd be
Also,
great
send
transition.
it. If you think that your colleagues.
Yes,
haven't
please,
received-
yeah.
Send it along.
We have 4 campuses that have not had any voice at all or any representation. And then there are colleges, arts and architecture is a huge subsection of who's responded. And so, for everyone else, your voice is heard, you may be using it differently, you may think differently. And so it's important to share it if you can, please, yeah.
You folks already filling out the survey
Oh,
online?
perfect, okay.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap for today's AI Horizons. Let's give a good round of applause for Tiffany. Sarah, So just a reminder that these meetings are recorded. They will be shared in the Teams space. Please continue the conversation in that Teams space. If you have any questions for our speakers today, we will make sure they get to them. And if you are interested in attending the Dreamery Speaker Series and hearing more about Dr. Joseph Young's presentations, I just dropped the Dreamery Speaker Series information and registration in chat. There's still time to register for today's sessions and tomorrow's sessions, so come and join us. We'll be hanging out in the Dreamery. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Exactly.
Thanks. Okay.
Dr. Young, have you gone
Yeah.
to
Yes,
any
I'll
of
save
the
the chat.
church or the festivals, the ethnic fairs and festivals?
Here?